Just another beautiful day at Southwest Middle School in Lawrence, Kansas. Two students are discussing their recently returned science test in the pod. At least one of them has to have the right attitude about this test thing, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. Oh my gosh, I got 98%. I missed 2 questions. My parents are gonna kill me.
I'm a C student and my teachers will always see me as a C student.
So who's right? It's gotta be the A student, right? I mean, she got an A. What about this guy? Or this girl? Gotta be this guy. Nope, they're all wrong. We get it. It seems like yesterday you were in elementary school and grades were letters, not numbers, turned back into letters. But now you're in middle school and things are different. Maybe no one ever explained it to you, or maybe you forgot. It doesn't matter. We're here now to tell you the truth about grades. In 7th grade, there are 2 grading systems, points and weighted. Let's look at points first. Mr. Kennard, Ms. Wrights, Mrs. Vansel, Ms. Drinkhouse, Mrs. Grant, and Mrs. Nitz all use the point system. You know how your math teachers are always like, fractions, 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 percents, percents, percents. You'll need this stuff someday. Well, they're totally right. You need it now. It turns out the point system is just fractions and percentages. All they're doing in the point system is dividing the total number of points earned by the total number of points possible to earn. You probably already knew that. It's exactly how teachers grade individual assignments, but let's talk about what that really means for you. Say you're in Mrs. Nitz's language arts class, and you're midway through the quarter, and she's assigned work worth 120 total points. 60 points of that work was an essay. The other 60 were smaller assignments. If you're missing 2 smaller assignments, like maybe those 2 return and earn cards that you haven't turned in, that's enough to be equal to getting a D on that essay, which you wouldn't be too proud of. That's why teachers are so intense about missing work all the time, especially teachers with point systems. But bring in 1 missing assignment in this scenario, and your grade goes to an A. Remember, this is only an example. The number of points possible could change at any time, but it works. On the flip side, let's imagine you're a student like our overachiever from earlier. You'd probably want to know how many points you can afford to miss and still get an A. We can use our 7th grade math skills to set up a proportion that will tell us exactly how many points you need to get an A in Mrs. Nitz's class. To get a 90% or 90 out of 100, we'll set the fraction equal to an unknown number over 120, our total points possible. Cross multiply. Divide by 100 to get x alone. It turns out you need 108 points to get an A, so you really can afford to miss 12 points in the first 4 weeks. So if you miss 2 points on an assignment, your parents probably won't get mad. I'm not saying A's aren't important. You'll need them to get into college, and they do prove you've learned the material. But it's okay sometimes to not get a perfect score. You can still end up with an A, and colleges can't see your middle school grades anyway. The important thing is to do your best. If grades are stressing you out too much, talk to your teachers or talk to a counselor. We can help. Okay, on to the weighted system. Mrs. Coffey, Miss Husted, and in fact, all the math teachers in Lawrence, and yours truly, Mrs. Devereaux, use the weighted system. In weighted grades, your teacher, or more accurately, Skyward, assigns a percent value to each type of assignment you'll face in their class. For example, in my class, Tests and projects are worth 20% of your grade. Your notebook is worth 30. Map quizzes are also worth 20. Your current events are worth 10%, and classwork is worth 20. It's a matter of personal preference which grading system teachers use. I prefer weighting because it helps me determine the importance of assignments right off the bat. I know not all kids have a quiet space to do homework, so I can set a smaller value to my current events homework that will let a kid who doesn't always turn in homework get an A in my class. However, a teacher who uses a point system might dislike the weighted system for the same reason. It is technically possible to get a 90% A without turning in a single current events organizer in my class. However, this would be extremely difficult because that student would have had to get a perfect score on literally every other assignment. Let's talk about what a C student's grade might look like in my class. To determine this student's grade, we still divide the points earned by the points possible. The difference is, once we've found that number, we then multiply it by the weight given to that category by the teacher at the beginning of the year. So, if this student has earned 90 points out of a total 100 in the assignments or classwork category, we'll then multiply that by 20% to see how much that will contribute to the total. It looks like this student will receive 18 out of a possible 20% for her classwork, so that's awesome. On the other hand, breaking it down by category like this lets us see where there are weaknesses as well. This student only earned 11.4% out of a possible 20% her quizzes could contribute to her grade. She should focus more on retaking my quizzes than turning in missing work if she wants to bump her grade. You're probably wondering why the notebook category is 0 and if that counts against you. I haven't graded notebooks yet this quarter because we haven't really used them. That's okay. It just means that it was only possible to earn 70% of the grade. Since this student earned 52.5% of a possible 70%, when we divide, we find that she has a 75% C. If this student were to retake her quizzes and receive hundreds, her points earned would increase to 61.1%. Divide that by the 70% that's possible, and she'd have an 87% B. This is also why some teachers might not give you extra credit when you ask for it. You see, if you ask for extra credit and you redo an assignment, it only counts toward the assignment category. So if your real problem is quizzes, it's not actually going to boost your grade at all. So you see, your teachers never see you as a C student. We know how much effort you put into school, and we have a lot of math to justify your grades. It's not magic, and we know every one of you can work hard and get an A. I'm not just saying that. So what are the most important tips we'd like you to remember from this video? First of all, turn in all your work. Remember that even if you're missing just a couple of assignments, it can be like failing a major test or writing assignment. Secondly, always retake tests and quizzes if it's at all possible. These assignments are usually worth more points or weighted more heavily. Third, keep cool even if you don't get 100%. It takes more than a few lost points to sink a grade. School should never stress you out to the point that you feel overly anxious or physically sick. If it does, make sure you're talking to a trusted adult like your parents, your teachers, or a counselor. We love to help. Lastly, don't discuss grades with other students if you can help it. What's the point? It's awkward, and it's going to make at least one of you feel bad. So good luck and keep those grades up. Hope this helps.